The day I realized I lost myself. Have you ever looked back at your life and realized you slowly disappeared without even noticing? Not because one terrible thing happened, not because you woke up one morning and decided to stop being yourself, but because little by little you became the person you thought everyone else needed you to be. That was me. When I created the 6 doors, I wasn't creating a framework from textbook. I was mapping the journey I had already lived. Every door represents a part of my own story. Today, I want to share the first one with you, and that is the self door. Because I believe this is where so much of our healing begins. So let's start with the good girl. For so long, so long as I can remember, I wanted to be the good girl, the good daughter, the good partner, the good woman. I genuinely believe that's who I was. Looking back now, I can see the difference between being a good person and trying to prove that I was one. I didn't know I was proving myself. It just felt normal. If I love someone, I wanted them to see my value. I wanted them to know I was loyal, dependable, caring, and most of all, different. Sometimes, if I am completely honest, I found myself comparing myself to other women. Not because I wanted to hurt anyone, but because somewhere inside me, I believed that if I could just show I was the better choice, then I would finally feel chosen. Now that was difficult to admit, but I also think that honesty is where healing begins. So, living for approval. The strange thing about living for approval is that you don't notice it's happening. You think you're simply just loving people. You think you're simply being kind. You think you're simply giving your best. But beneath all of that, there's a quiet question that never seems to go away. And that is, am I enough? When that question is running your life, everything becomes about proving you're worthy, proving you're loyalty, proving you're supportive, proving you're different, proving you're enough. And while you're busy doing all of that, you become so focused on being who someone else needs you to be that you stop asking, who am I? Moving on to what I call the slow disappearance. People often imagine losing yourself as one huge dramatic event. That wasn't my experience. For me, it happened in tiny moments, choosing what someone else wanted, ignoring what I needed, staying quiet, adjusting, adapting, the trying harder, trying to be understood, trying to be appreciated, trying to earn something that I didn't realize couldn't be earned. Every one of those moments, they seem small, but over years they become a life. It's almost impossible to recognize while you're living it because it feels so normal. When you've lived that way for long enough, you don't even realize you're performing. You just think, oh, it's who I am. It's just who you are. And there's a cost to all of this. The cost isn't just exhaustion, although there was plenty of that. The real cost is something much quieter. You lose your own voice. You stop knowing what you like. You stop knowing what you want. And you stop trusting your own decision. So as well as not trusting your own decisions, you become incredibly skilled at reading everyone else. But you lose the ability to read yourself. I think that's one of the saddest things that can happen to a person, and it was definitely the saddest thing that happened to me. Not because someone takes from your identity, but because you slowly hand pieces of it away until you realize you don't know who you are, you don't know what's left. My turning point, there wasn't one magical moment where everything changed. It wasn't dramatic. It was more like a quiet whisper. I started asking different questions for a start. Not what do they need from me, not how do I keep everyone happy, but what do I need? What feels true to me? Who am I underneath all of the roles? Those questions were uncomfortable at first because I didn't have immediate answers. So I spent many years becoming everything for everyone else that I'd never really spent time discovering myself. Coming home. For me, finding myself wasn't about becoming someone new. It wasn't about creating a different personality, and it definitely wasn't about fixing myself. It was about remembering the parts of me that had been buried beneath years of proving, performing and pleasing. It looked like creating art again, listening to myself, giving myself permission to pause, choosing authenticity over approval, sometimes getting things wrong, sometimes disappointing people, but slowly building a relationship with the one person I'd neglected for years, me. And that relationship is still growing, because I don't believe finding yourself is something you do once. I think it's something you choose over and over and over again. In closing, if anything I've shared with you today resonates with you, I want to leave one question with you. Have you been living as the person you truly are? Actually, it's 2 questions. Or have you been living as the person you believe you needed to be? There is no judgment in those questions. Only curiosity. Because the day I realized I'd lost myself, it wasn't the saddest day of my life. It was the beginning of finding my way home. And maybe, just maybe, today could be the beginning of yours. Thank you so much for being here. The next episode, I'll open the second door, which is the mind door. In that door, I will share how I discovered that my thoughts weren't just random thoughts. They were following patterns that I'd never noticed before.